POPs chapter 604. We're not going to be using pandas. We're going to be looking at the package CSV and the package JSON, which is working with the limited formats. Example A just gives us a start here with a simple file. It opens it, puts the file object in a reader, and prints each line. That's the file, ABC 123, 123, separated by commas, and each element in double quotes. When we print that using CSV as opposed to pandas or something else, we get this output, each line separated by commas, single quotes, and delimited with brackets. Example B. In example B, this is interesting. We're going to be making a dictionary from the file, the same file that we just saw. We're going to be making a structure, a Python structure called a dictionary, which you've seen before. So we open the file. As FB, we put the file object in a reader, and we surround it with one of the constructors for list. So now we have a list here in lines, and we print that list. Example B, lines list, and we see that we have a list. That's the syntax for the list with the brackets. And we have the tuples. We have ABC, 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3, which were the rows, which was converted now into a list. First step into making a dictionary. Then we split the lines into a header line and a data lines. So this initialization initializes two variables respectively with two values respectively. The first one is the first line, line 0, and the next one is a slice from the first element in the list to the last one. So in the header we should have ABC, and then we should have a couple of lines 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 in values. We create a data dictionary. This line here, I will include a link to the explanation of that complex syntax, but what it is that instead of using a loop here, you can do the whole shebang with one line. That zip part has nothing to do with compressing files or compressed files. What it does is it converts rows into columns. And the syntax, when you see a few examples, will become clearer, but this is a little bit advanced. You'll get there eventually. But just know that this line here ends up converting rows into columns. Then you can create a dictionary of the columns using something called, which was that, what we just seen, using a dictionary comprehension. So if you were going to Google that syntax there, it's called dictionary comprehension, which supplants a loop, a for loop, with one line of code. And the expression sit star values is the one that transposes the rows to columns. Alright, and we print our data dictionary. And here we have the syntax for a Python data dictionary with the curly brackets rather than the square brackets. And we have key definition, key definition, key definition. And we have converted, remember the original file, now we have A and 1, 1, B and 2, 2, and C is 3, 3. So we've zipped or made an operation which is called a pivot, I think, in Excel, for example, which converts rows it flips them into columns. Alrighty then. Example C. In example C, we're going to use again the CSV package. And within that package, we have a method called dialect, or an object called dialect, which is used to define a new format. Like if you input a file that's separated with commas, you can change that separation delimiter to semicolons like they did here. And you can change the quotations around the characters to whatever you want. And you can change the line terminator to whatever you want, and so forth. This effectively can help you change a comma-separated value file to an Excel, a Word, and so forth file. Now, the syntax that you see here, this is a class, actually. This is a class that we're going to use objects of. In Python, the syntax for inheritance, instead of extend, like it was in Java, is simply using this parenthesis syntax. So this is, my dialect is inheriting from dialect, so from csv.Dialect. So we have an object that's inherited. We're going to use it here. Now we open a file, call my data. For writing, that's this W here. Then we use the writer object, which is coming from the writer function here with the file object and the dialect that we're going to use, which is defined by the class that we've inherited from. So we have a writer. We use write row, which is a function of the CSV package. We write 0, 1, 2, 3, and we get the file my data CSV like that. You see that the separators became semicolons, and the quotations were removed. The double quotes around and in fact, when you print that, we get the file here. This time we're going to open it as just for reading. I'm going to print each line. When you do that with the CSV package, you see that they're still separated by semicolons, but every line, not every element, now every line is delimited by the single quote. Okay? Right on. Okay, lastly, JSON Data. JSON, you might not be using it in the beginning, I speculate, because it is something for websites, for processing data in a web internet type of environment. It is very common though. I've used it in my top course. It's short for JavaScript Object Notation, but this is a little bit misleading because it's data. It's really not an object. There are no functions. Well, and it is a standard format for sending data by hypertext transfer protocol in websites, web browsers. So this is a little funky here because this syntax here of 3 quotation marks together, when you encompass some chunk of stuff within those, it's a comment. It's actually a comment, like a multi-line comment that has extra functionalities actually in Python. That's the way to do it in JSON apparently. So here you have a structure where the name is Wes, places lived are those. It's a list, very similar to a list in Python. You have a pet, which is null. That's a little bit different than Python. And siblings, which is actually like a dictionary, right? Yeah, yeah. Key name, key name, key names. So it's very similar to a dictionary in Python, which is cool. Remember that it is surrounded by the triple double quotes. Then we use the JSON package function called loads with the object, which is that chunk of data, put it here in results and print it. And we see that we have some kind of a dictionary as well here. A dictionary with all that stuff that was in there. That is the lesson for today. Cool. I love you very much. Have a good night. Oh, I'm going to send you a link in the email copy about the zip thingy. What you see here is two lists, right? A is 1, 2, 3, and B is 4, 5, 6. If you use the zip thingy, you can declare a variable with those two lists separated by commas. And then when you print it, you get the columns become tuples in the list. 1, 4, 2, 5, 3, 6. That would have required a loop, I think. Right then. Good night, sweetie.